Hello you lovely people and welcome. Today we're going to be taking a look at the autopilot and navigation systems in the IndiaFoxtEcho Leonardo M-346 Master. If you're wondering, that livery is from flightsim.to, just something a little bit different I fancied. It's just primer with a shark mouth. Kind of liked it, so I'm going to fly in that. Weather's really bad over the UK at the moment, so this is a perfect opportunity to show the autopilot. So I've got a flight plan. Going to take off from Coningsby, fly over Cranwell, over Scampton, up to Lisbo, and then to D070T, and then back in towards Coningsby. So the first bit of the video for navigation will simply be flight plan, and then we'll go on to things like VOR, TACAN, and then looking at a bit more in depth at the autopilot. So we're going to jump in the cockpit and get the flight plans sorted. Right, so as you can see, I'm on the ground at Coningsby and the weather is bloody awful. So jump in the cockpit. Yeah, this is going to be fun. So, coming down into the cockpit, making sure all of our navigational equipment is powered on. It should be on as default by the cold start. And then what we're going to do is we are going to come over to our HSI here, click our nav button there, and we're going to click EGI. Now that stands for Embedded GPS INS. And essentially what happens is the autopilot will now run off of the flight plan that is in the GPS system. You can obviously still use the autopilot for other functions, but without EGI selected, the aircraft won't fly the flight plan. So making sure that is on, we're going to roll, get up in the air, activate the autopilot, and then we're going to sit back and relax and watch the aircraft do all the work. So let's get the foot brakes on, and we're going to throttle up. Just going to take it nice and easy. Brakes off. Okay. Yeah, lovely side wind going on as well. Right, rotate. Jesus. Gear up. Flaps up. Okay. Now what I want to do is to get the flight director on. I want to set a decent altitude. I'm going to set 5,000 feet. I'm going to activate the autopilot and throttle back. And we're going to come into this section here, click HNav, and now we will follow that flight plan. So I'm going to zoom in slightly. Okay, we don't want to be going too fast, otherwise we're just going to make wide turns and get way off course. So I'm going to just throttle back, get that down to about 250 knots. Now you can see the aircraft is climbing up to 5,000 feet. We are dead on the flight plan, or the black line. Oh, my braking cloud, that's good. Well, we were braking cloud, I don't know what happened there. So we might just be surfing the cloud tops on this flight plan. We'll have to wait and see. Okay, so as you can see, we've approached Cranwell. The autopilot's automatically selected the next waypoint, and we are now turning onto it. I'm going to zoom in one more time. Actually, 300 knots is a bit more acceptable, so we'll keep it at that. And now we're off to Scampton, EGXP. And as you can see on the moving map, Scampton is just there. I may set that 1,000 foot higher just so that we can make it out of the clouds if we can. And you can see all of your indicators here for the flight plan. You've got your marker there to follow. So if you don't actually want to use the HNAV and do it manually, you can. Wow. It's pretty rough up here. And the autopilot is pretty responsive. If it gets blown off course, it's pretty good at getting back on the black line again. And if we come down to the side here, you can see we've got DME. So once that gets down to about 5 nautical miles, it'll switch to the next waypoint, as is normally the case. Now it's going to prove me wrong just because I said that. It must be 3 nautical miles then. There we go. Another 27.6 nautical miles to go before we can turn down to D070T. Yeah, we're going to stick at 6,000 feet until I start making the descent into. Well, we're not going to land at Coningsby. We're just going to fly over the top of it. So I'm going to speed up the video. Yes, we're at Libzo, and we're just turning on to our initial before going on to Coningsby. Here comes the waypoint marker. Shot it slightly, so we're just going to correct. Speed up again. Start descending now. I'm going to take it down to 3,000. You see there is our target altitude and our current altitude. Okay, we're going to be turning on to Coningsby in a second. We're approaching D070T. I'm going to turn in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ping. And it's lying to me again. There we go. I'm going to drop the altitude down now to circuit height, which is 1,000 feet. Hopefully that's below the clag so we can see the airfield when we fly over the top of it. Just about see the ground. And there's Coningsby on the nose there, and you can see the side wind is really pushing against that tail fin. That's pretty rough. So yeah, that's just flying the flight plan. Obviously you need to have a flight plan in. Switch on the EGI or embedded GPS INS, and then using your autopilot. Going into HNav, click that, select your altitude, and away you go. There we go. So with that, we'll go on to our normal navigation modes, and then we'll do the in-depth autopilot afterwards. So we're just cruising above Lincolnshire, which is my favourite area of the UK to navigate. And we're going to start off with chasing a couple of VORs. We're not going to go all the way to the destination of the VORs because that just, you know, all I want to show you is what's on the MFDs, what to use and how to get there. Otherwise this video will be way too long, so jump in the cockpit. Okay, so we're currently heading west anyway. We're in a westerly direction, holding 1,000 feet on the autopilot, which I showed you in the past video, past part of the video. And just going to dial in Trent VOR. To do that, we come into the VOR ILS section, click up here. Trent VOR is 115.700. Okay, and that is in. And we'll come down to our nav source here and put in VOR. Okay. And it gives us our bearing that we need to be on, which is 269, and it's currently 42.6 nautical miles away, and we have our bearing marker there. So what I'm going to do is go into the cockpit, click heading, going to click on the heading bug, left click, right click, so that it zeroes out onto where we're currently heading. And if we want to do the chasing of the VORs properly, we can move the course needle until the CDI slides in to the center, and we know we're pretty much going in the right direction. Okay, so I've got the heading bug which shows up here, and we are just going to adjust that so it lines up with the VOR bearing marker. As you can see, our course deviation indicator here is in line with the course arrow. We have a green arrow that tells us the direction anyway, but yeah, that's pretty much lined up, and we should fly right over the top of Trent VOR with no issues there. So I'm just going to switch it up now and change to Ottringham, which is northeast of here. So we're going to go back into VOR ILS, click on the frequency, we're going to put in 113.90. Okay, and you'll see that the green arrow has now changed. I'm just going to put the heading bug onto where that arrow is pointing, or there or thereabouts. Then I'm going to turn the course arrow so that is pointing in a similar direction. Again, we're going to get the course deviation indicator in line with the arrow. Okay, and now we know that we need to bring the heading bug in slightly. We're going to overshoot that, so just making small corrections just so that that deviation indicator is in line with the arrow. So I'm just gonna, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to overcook the turn there, because I know that we're just not going to make that in time. Speed are we doing? 425 knots. I'm going a bit too quick. Throttle back slightly. As you can see, we've already got the DME. We've got 45 nautical miles to go. Shows that we are on that frequency. Tells us that we're VOR DME and how long it's going to take us to get to where we need to go. So about 6 minutes to get there. And then there's the power stations that are quite visible in the Lincolnshire area if you're ever going up the M1, not M1, A1, M1, similar thing. Okay, and you can see I've slightly overcooked it, and we can start bringing that deviation marker in. May just have accidentally got that bang on. Bearing we've got 4045. We're just off by 1. Yeah, not too bad. Okay, so that's chasing VORs. Next we will do TACAN. Now what we're going to do is go into this, switch that off so that we've got nothing on screen. Now TACAN's pretty simple really. Click on the TACAN, click on here, put your frequency in of 048 X-ray. Go into nav source, click TACAN. We now have a green arrow pointing to where we need to go. And again, we can, I believe the deviation indicator will move when we are on the right TACAN, or right course for the TACAN. Heading bug, we're going to turn before we hit this chimney. And let's get that to there. And this is the TACAN for Coningsby. And as you can see on the moving map, we've got Waddington there, Scampton there, Cranwell there, and Coningsby's up here somewhere. Alright. You see we've got heading bug and course marker there lined up together. And we're now heading in the right direction for the TACAN. And again, gives us DME distance, so we're 21 nautical miles away. It's boxed, so it shows we're locked onto the TACAN on 048 X-ray, and time to get there. So about just under 4 minutes. So yeah, I mean it's pretty reliable. Sometimes TACANs may not work, so you may want to try the VOR frequency instead, which is what IndiaFoxtEcho recommend really, as it's more reliable. So yeah, if you if you want to chase TACANs, don't forget to write down the VOR frequency for your nav radio as well, just in case. I believe that's it for the part of the navigation. I mean, you've got EGI, which is your flight plan, TACAN, VOR, DME. Pretty simple. And then on this side you can enter again another VOR, or you can enter your flight plan there as well. So yeah, that's it really. Not much else to say on the subject. So we will come out of this and we will now look at the autopilot. Right, let's take a look at the autopilot. So let's look at the layout first. We've got altitude selector knob there, which it works in conjunction with the MFD here. Altitude hold, autopilot master arm, and our flight director. And then we've got our heading bug for when we want to use our heading hold. If we come here, we have our autopilot menu. We've got heading, alt, roll, flight path angle, H nav, vertical speed, localizer, and approach. If we come down here, it's repeated on the MFD as well. You can see APFD there. Click that, and we've got H nav, log, app, vertical speed, flight path angle, roll, heading, alt, and then we've got our course there. We can click main, and that will go back to normal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to descend. Let's get autopilot on, and I'm going to descend to 10,000 feet. Okay. And we're starting to descend down to 10,000. Now we can also use vertical speed instead. So if we use that, and if we tilt the nose to 5 degrees nose down, and we activate it there, it should hold 5 degrees. There, thereabouts, until we get to 10,000 feet, in which it should start leveling out. And descend through the clag. And you'll see our altitude select indicator should rise up from the bottom any minute now. Starting to level out slowly. There we go, there's our altitude select indicator there. As you can see, we're starting to pull up automatically out of the dive. This is run off the barometric altimeter. As you can see, rad alt is almost 1,000 feet difference. Not great in the grand scheme of things, but again, if we wanted to climb, say to 12,000, no, go 13, we pull up. We want to be a bit more aggressive in the climb, and click vertical speed. It will hold the climb until we get up to 13,000, and then it will level out. Or you can just leave it in altitude hold, and it will do its usual slow gradual climb to the altitude that you have selected. So there's our indicator again, and we're starting to level out. Let's change that to the map, see where we are. Okay. So we're in Yorkshire. Right, next on the list, so heading, pretty simple really. Got a heading bug dead in front of us. Take it off of rolling into heading, and basically wherever we put the heading bug, the aircraft will follow. So if we head 180, okay. That's pretty simple really, self-explanatory. What we've got next on the list now, flight path angle should work in conjunction with the HNAV with your flight plan. So whatever you set as your main altitude, it should, when activated, climb to the altitude, hold it, and then descend with the flight plan. I can't get it to work. Doesn't matter what I do, it automatically goes straight back to altitude. So if I click that, it will go straight back to altitude again. So it doesn't make any sense. I can't get it to work. So if anybody can tell me how to get that to actually do what it needs to do. I know you need a flight plan, and I don't have one in at the moment, but I've tried it and tried it with a flight plan. I can't get it to work. That's the only thing on the autopilot that I can't. What's next? We have vertical speed, which I've shown you. HNAV I've shown you previously, so roll. Now this is a nice little feature. If you're using the fighter attack version for, I don't know, close air support, or trying to find targets of opportunity, then what you would do is at a safe altitude, get your take the heading, go into roll, and we'll set a bank angle, and it will stay there. It will hold that bank angle, hold your altitude for you if you've still got altitude select activated, and now you can just spot targets of opportunity if you're carrying weapons. And yeah, it's a great little feature. The Harrier and the A4 both have it. Very handy, so that you can actually look out the window and see what you're doing, and it doesn't ping you from left to right. It doesn't hold completely. You can just change your turn when you feel like it, and it will follow. Okay, and I guess the last but not least on the list of things is the approach and localizer. Now we need an airfield for that, and we're going to go into RF Coningsby simply because it's my go-to. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the weather and try and make it slightly more difficult to see, so that the aircraft has to do all the work. So you join me amongst the rolling clouds here in it. Coningsby is off to our right hand side. We're cruising at 10,000. I'm going to drop that to 3. Actually no, I'll make that 2.5. Okay, and I'm going to change that to vertical speed because I can get down a lot quicker. Get down to about 10 degrees nose down, hopefully. I'll do about 8, 9, that'll do. Okay, I'm going to put in the VO, the ILS, that might help, so 111.150, and we're now going to change from TACAN to VOR. Obviously out of range for the ILS at the moment. Now start turning in. Go for about a 210. And into the fog we go. This should be fun. So you want to keep the speed at around about 170 knots for the approach. If we get too slow, the autopilot does a funny on you and disengages and messes the approach up, so you must keep the speed up. Another 2,500 feet. Goodbye visibility. Stick on the old landing light. Get things ready. I don't know why the navs and the beacon lights aren't on. Here comes the rain. I've got that in right. I'll stay on TACAN for the minute. We are 32 nautical miles out. Way too far away. Okay, so we're approaching our approach altitude. I'll speed this bit up until we hit the localizer. Okay, so we've got ILS DME information now. Start configuring the aircraft. I'm going to drop the gear, put in takeoff flaps, and we're on glide slope.
Glide slope.
Okay, and go for localizer. Takeoff altitude select. Altitude hold, otherwise we'll end up not descending. Okay, we've got localizer glide slope in, and keep the speed up, remember, around about 170 knots. Put landing flaps down, as we are on our straight in approach. So we're slight below glide slope. The approach and localizer are doing some very funny things. We've definitely got localizer and glide slope. Why we've climbed up to 3,000 feet, I don't know. So we're coming down back onto the glide slope again. The localizer's good. Seems to have settled itself now. I believe Coningsby is behind this cloud here somewhere. I've got lovely side wind. Gotta love those, especially with a big fin on your aircraft. Okay, back into the rain.
Glide slope. Glide slope.
Oh, give me some runway lights. Oh, jeez. Hey, we've got runway lights.
Sync rate. Sync rate. Autopilot.
That was not fun. In fact, that's the dodgiest approach I've ever done on autopilot. But anyway, we're down. We're safe. Thank God. And now we can taxi back to the parking and go change our trousers. So, yeah, that's navigation and autopilot demo in the IndiaFoxtEcho Leonardo M-346 Master. I hope you got something from that. I certainly did. And yeah, thank you for watching if you got this far, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.